said that wanted to join the committee?
What?
Linda's there.
Did you say that it was Madeline Innocent? You said that wanted to join the committee?
Madeline.
I'm on two separate computers. I forgot that when I offered to do this, I couldn't do it on and also be on Zoom at the same time. It's a little complicated.
I'm sorry, did you need something?
No, Barbara's taking minutes tonight, as only Barbara can, because they're fantastic. But she's having a problem because she can only take minutes on one computer, but she has to be on the Zoom on the other computer, correct?
You can actually, you can actually call up Word and type on Word. You can't see anybody while you do it, but
Yeah,
you can
that's the
listen.
problem. Yeah, so no, it's all right. I have my iPad here and I will, you know, I'll try to juggle between the two of them. I think I'll be fine.
Hi, Seema. Well,
Yes,
we're lucky.
Seema.
We only have one application.
Hi.
Take me out to the ball game. Seema, unmute yourselves, guys. It's a committee meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna end up muting myself because I'm still listening to Congressman Espaillat talk about healthcare.
Okay.
But I can listen to you guys as needed.
You're multitasking.
I am. This is the weekly report about how many people are dying and how well we're doing. Oh, Seema's got a helper.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Asha.
Hi, Asha.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And right here, this is Nosy Rosie Beatty.
Oh, how cute.
Not cute. Wait till she starts barking.
Hey, Michelle.
All right, I'm gonna go broadcast because I think that's how we're gonna get the applicant in on the call.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, Beverly Donahue is here. Hi, Beverly. I'm promoting Beverly to panelist. Beverly is one of our newly appointed members. There's Beverly.
Okay,
Hello.
Beverly,
Hello, Beverly.
Hello.
Beverly, are you considering BCI?
Yeah, we
Can
need
you
also
unmute
to,
yourself?
we need to promote the applicant too, right? If you
Yeah.
want him to talk.
I'm looking for them.
It could be,
Courtney is here, so I'm going to promote her. Let's see.
Hey,
Promote to
where's
panelist.
Courtney?
There we go. Hi, Julian. Good to see you there.
wow, we got a big crowd, man.
Um,
Hi, Doug. Everything okay?
so I see a hand up here. Unmute. It comes across on my screen as SMFYZGL.
yeah,
Not
that
sure
could be
who that
him.
is. Can you tell us who you are?
Yes. So can you hear me?
There you
Yes.
are.
So I'm the owner of the A2 restaurant, which located on 359 Columbus Avenue.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Great. So I'm going to promote that person to panelist if that's okay
Yes.
with you guys.
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
So you can, let's see.
Yeah, I think it's already done.
Okay, do you know how to take yourself
Actually, you know
off
what else I'm
mute?
going to do? Hang on one second here. Where's Linda? Linda's
here.
my co-host. And where's Christian?
Christian, we're all on top. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. How are you doing?
Okay, so you guys should be all set.
Okay, I'm taking minutes.
What does SMFYZGAL stand for?
You know, my first name is SEMI, Semi, and the last name is Feyzioglu, FEYZIOGLU. So that's what it stands for. So it's really long. So I just got a shortcut. Sorry about that.
So
I thought that you were Welsh
don't
and
believe
using the Gaelic spelling.
vowels.
For the minutes, could you please give me your phone number and your email address?
Sure. My phone number is 347
Yep.
659
Mhm.
5670. And,
Okay, and your email, if you don't mind?
Sure. My email is the long one. Sorry about that. My first name, SEMI dot F as in Frank, EYZIOGLU. That's
Yeah,
number 8. T as in Tom, H as in Henley, another H as in Henry, illnyc.com. 8tillnyc.com.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What comes after your name?
At number 8, T as in Tom, H
Yeah.
as in Henley, another H as in Henley, illnyc.com. 8tillnyc.com.
You could also put it in chat. Might be
Oh,
easier.
that would be a great idea. Just in case I
Do you
made a
know-
mistake, if you don't mind.
Sammy, do you see where chat is?
Yeah, I'm putting right now.
Okay,
That's lovely, thank
fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the question is, how are you doing with all of this?
Yeah, we try to survive as everybody else, and I'm at the restaurant right now. We're doing takeout delivery,
Good,
try to do something, and
Mhm.
I hope everyone's okay too.
yeah. So, so the application is, okay.
Hold on a moment, Linda. Let me share momentarily the agenda.
Okay,
So this is the agenda for today. Very, very extensive. So we have 369 Columbus Avenue, and the applicant is here, so we're going to start soon. We will start soon. We also want to talk about the
yeah, we
future.
have a,
We have new business and future agenda items to talk about a little bit afterwards.
right,
Okay, so let me stop this now.
okay.
So
So it's 18 tables and 54 seats.
yes,
How are we going to do this? And I'm coming up with ideas because of social distancing. Have you thought about that? Is there a way that we can expand it? This is going to be a discussion later on for our committee.
yeah, but we will currently deal. I want to share the floor plan. This is a floor plan for the Sidewalk Cafe.
Right.
So as you can see, he has 9 tables of 4 seats
Mhm.
and 9 tables of 2 seats each, for a total of 18 tables, 54 seats.
Which is comparable to what Isabella's had.
Right.
Wait,
So-
do we know that for sure? Is that the exact same number of seats?
Yeah, Isabella, they used to have more because now we have a ADA ramp in front of the restaurant, which is blocking my additional 2 tables. So they used to have like 75 or 74, I think. And I'm gonna have only 54 because of the ADA ramp.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think this is a great plan, but I'm going to ask you this. We have no direction yet, but when we do, and you've got the social distancing, have you made contingent plans for that?
Nothing yet because don't get me wrong, but I don't have any idea how it's going to work because
Correct.
everyone's saying something.
Yeah, right.
They're gonna give us extra space. Maybe we are gonna use the Columbus Avenue. I don't know. Everyone is saying something. So
No way to know.
I just want to stick on my plan, whatever it is for now. And when they decided what they want to do, then I'm gonna see because nowadays everything is really tight for us, and
Yep.
I don't want to make any changes without knowing anything.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
I just wanted to ask, are you open now? And
We are
able-
open for delivery
Takeout.
takeout right now. Yes.
You are.
Great.
How is it going?
It's like weekends are good. Weekdays depends. I don't know, but it's better than nothing, of course.
Yeah.
This question is out of our purview and you don't have to answer it.
Sure.
I'm just curious if your landlord is working with you at all? Are they
No,
helping
my
you?
landlord is one of the worst landlord you'll ever see. in your
That's true. I
I know who they are. I'm
can
sorry.
vouch for that.
They're ready to kick me out. Like they're just looking for something. I used to have a winter vestibule. It's out of the
Yeah.
content, but I used to have a winter vestibule. I just took it out during this time. There's only a couple hole because of the screws. I'm getting like tons of letter from their lawyers to fix them as soon as possible, which I don't see where they are. So they want to put me default on the lease. They don't want to help me for anything, but we'll see what's going to happen. But they're really tough people. I don't know why they're.
Sammy, what I'd like you to do is, could you send the community board, you can send it at cb7lindasue@gmail.com. Can you send me your landlord's name
Sure.
And we will do some outreach, okay?
Sure.
He's
Thank you.
he's not an easy landlord.
Yeah, I know who they are.
That's
Yeah.
okay. He's not an easy landlord, but at least we can write it and put it in the record that, you know, we all want to work together because let's face it, it's better to have a restaurant there than a vacant space. And you have a wonderful
Definitely.
restaurant.
Thank
That's
We
very
Just
provide
popular.
some-
opened also.
We can provide some resources for you that are generally available that may help you, okay? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not saying we're just an advisory group, but many of us do work with landlords professionally. And so we will appeal to your landlord and, you know, maybe just we'll write a letter, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much for trying.
You're
this.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any more questions? If not, I would suggest we call to question.
But no, not yet. Let's ask if anybody from the attendees want to have a word. Now, how do we do that, Mark?
The attendees should raise their hands. They should have a raised hand. If the attendees would take a look at on the bottom of the screen, there's a button to push for panelists or participants rather. That will call up a screen on the right-hand side of your screen. And on that screen, there should be a button that says raise hands. I think it's in the bottom right-hand corner.
Right.
Once you do that, or you can just promote them all like you just did. That'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Hi,
Since there were no-
Julian.
If anybody's got a comment
Okay.
or a
Unmute
question,
yourself,
then
Julian.
they can raise their hands and you can unmute them.
Right.
Okay. Who's raising their hands? Let's see.
I don't see no hands yet.
Nobody.
Okay,
Oh,
so let's
please do.
call the question then.
Wait, Barbara's
Oh,
raising-
Barbara?
Wait, Julian, did you want to say
I'm-
something? Yeah.
I'm-
Barbara?
I'm confused because I'm taking minutes, so I'm distracted here. So please excuse me, I'm definitely in favor.
Julian, okay, Julian wants to say something. I'm unmuting. Julian,
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
is your pearls of wisdom? Unmute yourself.
Go ahead, Julian.
You have to unmute yourself. We already
Unmute?
unmuted you.
He's on mute. You're on
Hi.
mute now.
Yeah. Julian? It's a wonderful photograph.
Looks like he hung up.
Julian, no.
Oh, no.
No, he did hang up. Oh, my God. Okay, we have Virgo Lee.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Virgo, so were you born in July or something, or?
August. Come on.
August, end of August. I made it by a few days.
All right, Julian has his hand up again.
Okay, Julian is back. Okay, Julian, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Unmute me? I might unmute myself?
No, Julian.
Julian, he's back. Okay,
Julian, maybe you might want to write in
No,
chat.
He may be having some technical
allowed to
difficulties.
talk. Here we go. Julian, let's try this again.
Can you hear me
Julian,
now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I just wanted to reach out to the business owner. I'm going to put in the chat box our office email as well. If you're having difficulties for your landlord, especially with all that's going on right now, I think our office would be able to at least provide you with some small business resources to try to assist. And we're happy to coordinate with Community Board 7 to see what our offices can do together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julian works with Helen Rosenthal, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, he runs the show.
I do know.
But I'm talking to the applicant.
Oh, I'm looking at you, so I. All right.
Okay, so let's call the vote.
No, there's Virgo. We have Virgo
Oh,
Lee.
Virgo wants to talk? Okay.
Virgo?
Yes,
you're on. Hi,
I'm here.
you had a comment?
My only comment was that the plan as the drawing that you have as part of the file has been approved by Landmarks as well as DCA. Any requirements for social distancing? Hello? Yeah, any requirements for social distancing? Sammy will be more than happy to make those adjustments. Simply, it's a very simple procedure. He could cordon off or tape off every other table
Mhm.
which would provide the 6 feet of distancing. If that's what the guidelines that the Governor Cuomo
Right.
would hand down from his office, and we'd be more than happy to comply.
Thank you. I think what we've discerned right now, Virgo, who do you work for, by the way?
Oh, I'm the consultant for SEMI that
Oh, great.
submitted the application to DCA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is, we'll see what happens. Right now, we're going to prove it as is, and then if he has to social distance,
Yes.
or we'll figure that out too, so,
We have to approve it as is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, if you can put in any language whereby we are more than happy and will comply with any social distancing requirements as handed down by the governor's office or any other city office.
Yeah.
We can do applicant agrees
I've got it.
to,
Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, but
applicant
I'll-
agrees to any social distancing recommendations from New York State and New York City authorities. How's that?
Yeah, although I don't believe that would be necessary for this application.
It is not. It is
No,
not.
It's not, yeah. So
Okay, then. Well, why don't we call the question?
let's
folks?
call the questions. Okay, so
And let's
committee,
let Sammy get back to like preparing takeout.
committee members
So-
first. Raise your hand, committee members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Paul, are you voting today?
Are you still with us, Paul?
Okay,
Yeah,
So
but
that's-
only he's only here in name.
okay, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 6. So the
Yeah.
committee vote is 6000.
Yep.
Is we cannot confirm the poll is here. Then non-committee members. That's 1,
2.
2, 3, 4. Madeline, are you with us?
Madeline is a committee member.
Yes.
Madeline, did you vote for the committee? Madeline is a new committee member, by the way, everybody.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
Welcome, Madeline.
Welcome, Madeline.
Hi.
I just got onto this Zoom conference because I couldn't get on my computer. I'm on my phone, so I don't know what you all were talking about before
Okay, we were talking about the sidewalk cafe for 8 Hill. And
What's
And
the
we-
non-committee vote, please?
no, so with committee vote. Madeline, are you voting for it, or do you want to abstain because you weren't here?
both were talking at the same time. Say it again, Linda.
Madeline, do you want to vote for the sidewalk cafe for 8 Hill? Or do you want to abstain because you weren't here for the original discussion? Although, let me just say this, there was nothing out of line with the application.
Well, I'll abstain because I wanted to hear more of the conversation. I apologize for coming on late.
No problem, Madeline.
So is it
No problem.
4010?
It will be 6010, yes. Non-committee
Oh,
vote will be,
Carol's on the committee now. Okay, got it.
non-committee vote is 4000.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so
Okay,
let's
so-
see what we've got in chat.
Resolution passes.
Resolution passes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Tammy, good luck. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you I hope to see you this summer.
I hope too. Thank you so much for everything. So hope to see you soon.
We'll reach out. We'd like to help you.
Yeah, we will reach out to your landlord.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
And Julian
Okay.
will reach out. So, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so,
Jeremy Wilatis is here, so could you make him,
okay, Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. Jeremy, would you like to talk? What's going on with you? How are you?
I think he's on his computer. Oh, he can't get on
He
video?
just wrote to us that he's here, Jeremy.
So is Andrew not coming tonight?
Apparently, I have no.
You guys Andrew's doing a Facebook Live thing for the Alliance.
Oh,
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Hey, Jeremy, can you unmute?
Can you guys hear me?
yourself?
Yes, we can hear you.
How are
Yes,
you
we
all?
can. Okay, what's
Everybody's
going on?
safe and healthy.
Not really. My husband has coronavirus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Very sorry.
Me too. So what's going on in your world?
Going on in my world is the restaurant business is, needless to say, basically non-existent. And I've spoke to both Barbara and Mark, and I'm just coming on here to say hello, tell you guys obviously what you already know, that the business is terrible and everything else. And I'm going to make a pitch, and I've reached out to Barbara to try and get to the bid. Because I figured Barbara was the bid, and in my mind is always the bid. And she said there was this meeting tonight, and I said, well, make my plea here to you guys. I don't know what, if anybody in the world can do anything, but the goal would be if we could, any chance we can open up Columbus Avenue Street at nighttime and or the weekends would be an amazing thing. I do realize it's a bus route and a truck route, which makes it somewhat highly nearly impossible, I guess. Highly unlikely and nearly impossible. But that's kind of, I think it's somewhat almost the only opportunity any restaurants have to survive is something to that nature. We're doing.
It's on the agenda for new business tonight, so we're all in tune.
I can speak for probably most every restaurant that's not a huge delivery takeout business. We're doing 10, 15, 20% of sales. Even the takeout and delivery restaurants are way down, at least the people I'm speaking with. So, and we need literally 90% normally to pay the bills. So to do 10 or 15%, we're paying some staff, particularly some staff who probably can't get any government assistance, and we're paying some food and beverage. But outside of that, that's all we really can do.
Jeremy, did you do the PPP?
Yeah, but the PPP, which will get us going when the world opens up, but in 2 months, a month or two, that money will evaporate. We're down in our 3 restaurants, we're down millions of dollars in sales, and we got a few $100,000. That's not gonna last. I'm not getting paid. My managers aren't getting paid. The only people that are getting paid are a couple waiters and a couple cooks at each restaurant, and they're barely, they're surviving. Outside of that,
Jeremy, wait a minute. You do know that 75% of that quote unquote grant, which is why I didn't take it, has to go to payroll. It's critical.
I'm really well versed in it. Listened to multiple webinars and seminars, and you name it, everything there is to do. And that's not exactly true.
Correct.
You can use it for 4 different things. It's only forgivable if 75% goes to payroll in the first 8 weeks.
Exactly.
But I was on a webinar with the New York Hospitality Alliance and some other people with Chuck Schumer 2 nights ago, and he's putting in a new agenda, a new plea, and he thinks he'll be successful, where the money will not start to tick on the clock till December, and then it's hopeful that it'll be a 24-week period to use it instead of the 8 to 10, and trying a bunch of other things. So it's not clear when and how you'll have to use that. And Linda, I strongly suggest anybody who can take it, takes it. You can always give it back. You can park it in a bank account. And Chuck Schumer is hopeful that it'll all, well, I don't even know if he said that one, but other people have talked that at one stage of the game, it'll all be forgivable. You'll be able to use it for anything as long as you're using it for legal business purposes. You may be forgiven. So if I was you, I would take it, park it. Anybody who's got an opportunity.
I hope that's the case, but let me say this. We did have a webinar a week ago Thursday with Larry Haber, Andrew Ridgie, Doug Kleiman, and Stephanie O'Rourke from Cone Rosen. And they were all saying, unless things have changed, they were really adamant, right, Doug? About being very careful with this. I mean,
Sure.
but
You can always pay it back.
Right.
Correct. You can always pay it back.
I think things are going to change. I think Nadler and Schumer are pushing also to change the ratio that perhaps more money can be spent on other things beside payroll. Obviously, the whole idea of the program was to get people employed, but clearly it makes no sense if you have to hire people right now when you're closed for operations or mostly closed. What are you gonna do? Hire people back to then lay them off? So obviously, just like you said, Jeremy, the payback period, the hiring period, all that is supposed to be is being pushed out. And as you know, Andrew Ridgey is very much part of pushing that. But
And that's also provided you can hire them back, because many of them, with the unemployment, those $600 extra are making more than they used to without the unemployment.
right, but that's going to run out in a little bit.
Right.
I will say, Christian, very good point. I've actually talked to almost all my back of the house team wants to come back. Almost none of my front of the house team wants to come back because the back of the house, a lot of them, for one reason or another, probably don't qualify for as much or some of the government assistance, whereas the front of the house, most of them are sitting home collecting $1,100. And, you know, I like the restaurant business, but the majority of them waiting tables is not their dream come true. So,
I mean, I think you're going to find a lot of people reticent to put themselves out in the public, even with masks, because it's we don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. It's scary out there.
I own restaurants and have most of my life and love eating and enjoying restaurants. I gotta tell you, I'd rather go to Madison Square Garden 50% full than to a restaurant 25%, because you can't wear a mask in a restaurant. How do you get the food and beverage into your mouth? I don't think, honestly, from our perspective, I don't think we should open up anytime soon, because I don't.
No, what I was talking about is the servers wearing masks. We're not talking about, anyway. Okay.
Right. And so I think the only shot is outdoor seating.
I agree.
So I had an idea. I spoke to Jeremy earlier today, as he mentioned, and he and I both know, of course, that Columbus Avenue is a truck route and also a bus route. But I was wondering, what if we were able to get restaurants to set up on the side streets?
That was actually Barbara.
So how would that work?
Was actually the discussion we were going to have tonight. So, for example, 8th Hill, their side street is 77th Street. It could possibly work, and they could keep their tables. I think what we're going to find also, and this was the discussion, I was hoping Andrew would be here tonight.
Yeah.
But I think you're also going to see a lot of retail that is adjacent, contiguous retailers, and we've really got to walk around and figure out where everything is. But there'll be a lot of retailers, boutiques, et cetera, who will be out of business. And can we spread the sidewalk cafes to in front of the empty stores for 2020? We're not talking 2021, 2022, we're talking 2020. So that restaurants will have a chance to get back in business this summer, because presumably we're going to be opening a little bit in late June and July. Certainly that gives restaurateurs a season for their sidewalk cafe.
But what happens is that the landlords will be actively looking for new tenants, and they'll be making deals with new tenants. And if they find somebody, that person is not going to want a cafe in front of their entrance. So what's happening then?
I honestly,
Doug, can you weigh in on this?
Well, I mean, look, it depends if the vacant space, or if it is vacant, or if there's another operator there, and if it's part of the same landlord, if it's contiguous or not. You know, if there's a tenant that's already in place, they would have a very good argument to not have people in front of their own store.
Of course.
If it's a vacant space, the landlord may agree to it, the city might agree to it. It might not be a bad thing, but I think it has to be sort of case by case, and it has to be by mutual decision.
Yeah. I think at a certain point, as things open up a little bit, maybe this committee will start walking around and taking a look at, because here's the thing. I know that landlords will be making deals. I work for a lot of them, but I did work for a lot of them. I don't think there are going to be that many deals happening very quickly. I think it's going to get up and running. I don't think we'll see it before the fall. So if we can give restaurants a fighting chance, I think it's important, and we've got to figure out how to do it. I really want Andrew Ridgey on this conversation too, because I'm sure the New York City Hospitality Alliance has some ideas about that too.
They do.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, it would be fair to say that we're in for a few months of this. It's gonna be very rough. It's gonna we're gonna have to come up with a lot of creative ideas, and not just for restaurants, for many of the things that we do that we were considered normal before, and you know, we will have to consider, just said, you know, using more of the sidewalk space. Who knows? Maybe even some of the street space. You know, if that can be arranged. You know,
I like
the same way they use some of the street space for bike lanes. We may have to use some of the same, you know, some of this street space to help our restaurants survive. You know, and not just the restaurants, also the stores. Many of the stores are going to be able only to do sidewalk delivery. You know, people won't be able to go in. You know, so.
7 o'clock, by the way.
Can I ask, are we going to get, oh, sorry. Can I ask, are we going to get guidance from the city on relaxing some of these like sidewalk cafe regulations and liquor license?
Not anytime soon.
Guidance will come. It's just that it won't come for a while. And that's what we were having Andrew available. Would have been nice, because since he's involved with the in the plans to reorganize, he may have some, you know, advance notice.
I mean, is there any way we could jump ahead of this then and sort of take the lead on what we think is appropriate? I mean, we've obviously looked at this for a long time.
May I weigh in for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think there's 3 things, guys. First of all, I love what Linda's idea and Barbara's idea, I think, were the 2 ideas, which was, one is the side streets, I think would be great. Even if it's around the corner from your restaurant, a couple buildings down would be helpful if we could close off a side street. That's number 1. Number 2, I like the idea of the storefronts that are empty, or even a store that might be closed. I think that a lot of the tenants, we're all in this together. And I think we could work street by street, block by block on the Upper West Side. I think the fact that Community Board 7, which is so active and strong, I think could be helpful. And I think a lot of the tenants, we know a lot of each other. I also don't think we should give up yet on closing down Columbus Avenue, at least possibly one side or the other side.
Well, okay. It's not just Columbus, Jeremy, it's Amsterdam. Amsterdam has actually more restaurants at this juncture. So it's both of them. How do you do this and how do you discern how to do it? I was just thinking, by the way, side streets. Tarlucci's on 84th Street abuts a city bike. There's a city bike half a block down. So things like that we could do. What I think we have to do is kind of go through our neighborhoods and kind of take a look at what's there. We have to kind of take walks. Of course, I have to be quarantined, so I'm not going to be taking walks. But if you do on your walks on a beautiful day this weekend, is to just take a photograph of a restaurant and see what's next to it. You know, so that we could make a list of restaurants that have closed retail next to them.
Yeah.
Gideon, the brand is closing, and next to that is Mokum and the other one that starts with an M.
Okay, let me take a moment here.
Maybe we extend it to there. Before they lease that space. Let's be real.
Jeremy, why don't you start the ball rolling by looking at your restaurants and getting back to us? You can get back to me if you want, and let me know what would be potentially available for you.
My issue is that none of my restaurants have any closed stores or any, and I'm not, except for Good Enough Eats on a corner, but out.
It's a pretty large footprint.
What is it?
Let me pause here a moment. We have a question.
Has a side street and Columbus.
Yeah, Linda, hold on. We have a question from the public. Erica Bersin asks, is this committee saying that they aren't helping all small businesses to survive this? Is there a rationale for why restaurants are taking priority?
Because, okay, can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
What we've seen is restaurants seem to be the most active, and they have, not just recently, but in the last 5 years or so, have been the most active retail in many of our neighborhoods, but especially this neighborhood. So only Columbus Avenue, by the way, where Barbara's bid is, only Columbus Avenue had a 93% occupancy, but Amsterdam Avenue was all restaurants, and very few, except for Daryl's and a couple of West Side Kids, had very, very little retail, because that is kind of the direction, unfortunately, of this new world order. And it happened long before the pandemic. So we've seen a lot of empty storefronts, and then the activity has been hospitality primarily. Doug.
I just want to say, I think we are absolutely wanting to help all small businesses, and even medium and large ones. We want to help everyone. And so, no, the only reason that we're focused on restaurants is that this committee is tasked with approving outdoor cafe permits and liquor licenses, but the small business community, the business consumer issues, committee is very much concerned with all businesses. That's my point of view.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
I'm on here fighting for every small business there is, including restaurants, retail, everything there is out there, because I'm going to tell you, if the streets are half empty, there's going to be a lot less people living here and coming here, and it's not going to be the same city. And I don't have any open spaces on my blocks, and I'm still fighting for that idea. And I think it's a great idea. And I think you can work that yourself. As I would go talk to the landlord or the space that's next door and say, can I do it, at different times?
Could I jump in on that? Because I wanted to agree with Doug about that our focus and priority is on hospitality, because that's what we license and that's where our activity as a community board are. I wonder whether there might be a role for us in the following scenario, that it is, as colleagues of ours have observed, the only people who get to do commerce on the sidewalk are hospitality related folks. And I wonder if, at least for a temporary measure, we might at some point, not tonight, but at some point consider advocating for what some dress shops do, for example, which is to bring a rack of things out onto the sidewalk, which is technically speaking not permitted. I think I've bored you in the past with my anger about the Department of Consumer Affairs ticketing on Mother's Day and the day before, ticketing all the florist shops because they have no place to put all the inventory of flowers that they need to stock in order to meet the demand. And the rule is that you can only be 3 feet from the facade of the building. And so it's $1,000 ticket, which they just walk up and down the avenue giving out.
Did they do that this year, Mark?
They did not do that this year, no, because most of the florists are closed. But it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And I would love it if we would be advocates for a moratorium on these kind of nuisance fees and enforcement nonsense that, I'm sorry, I'm betraying a bit of a point of view, aren't I? But to advocate for giving all small businesses, not just restaurants, some opportunity or a little bit of a leeway in terms of social distancing by using the sidewalk, and especially a relief from the death by 1,000 cuts that the fees that the city imposes on small businesses.
I think we could put together a resolution.
Could I say something about this? Because on Columbus Avenue is zoned in a certain way so that it is actually legal at all times for a merchant, if you wanted to put a table outside. You cannot sell outside. The transaction has to happen inside, but you can't. However, Columbus Avenue merchants, by and large, in my area, we're not interested in doing that because the merchandise is just too expensive. They don't have the kind of stuff that they would want to have standing outside. So that's another issue, and especially in our area where a lot of those places are really upscale.
Yeah, but what we could do, Barbara, is we could put together a resolution. We could put together a resolution supporting that, saying small businesses could put their wares on the street, because a lot of people moving forward are not going to be interested in walking into stores.
That's
So we could
well.
do that
Yeah, the pandemic has changed the world.
on Columbus Avenue.
Well, maybe we could get Consumer Affairs to come to the next meeting, and we could go over some of our ideas with them and see. We would definitely need their approval for this.
Yeah, but again, we could start, you're right. Let's talk to them first and then come up with a resolution. But I think it's
Right, we need to
Good, there's
gather,
time.
we
I
need to
think that's a
gather.
good idea.
And
we
I
need
just
to
want to
gather-
say,
Hold on a second. We need to gather a number of people that may have expertise, especially in the area of regulatory, so that we can first of all find out what's on the books right now that we may need to change, because as even the mayor is saying, we need to reimagine how we're going to come out of this now. So we have to look at all the things that we should be able to change and that should change.
Would that be DCA?
DCA and whoever else
They
is,
would know the regulatory issues.
yeah.
It's mostly DCA. It
Okay.
might actually be the fire department in some instances. And it might be the Department of Buildings in some instances.
and it's even transportation too, in some
Okay.
instances.
So I think what we should do for our next meeting, I think what Barbara recommended, is that we get together some of the regulatory agencies, it says, and invite them to participate so we can have this discussion.
And I think we can't get the council members as well.
Because you're right, we are
it's
going to
city
have to
issue.
reimagine. And DOT is going to be critical in terms of restaurants and moving out the tables and the spaces. I mean, right now, a lot of them abut the bike lanes.
And also, not to steal anyone else's thunder, but there are some proposals afoot that we're going to hear about. They're going to be coming down to City Council, and it's no secret. And I'll let Andrew talk about this. The Hospitality Alliance has some ideas that they're going to bring forth. I'd love to see. There are a lot of other things that, so we don't duplicate efforts. There may be some things that are parallel to exactly what we're talking about.
I do think we should not give up on the Columbus Avenue, closing it down, listen, I know we can't close Columbus and Amsterdam and Broadway and everything else. So I don't know how you do or what you do, but I like the idea if we close, the one lane on each side or something to that nature. I'm just out there with ideas of trying to save my businesses and other people's businesses. And I can tell you right now, if we don't have outdoor seating, extra outdoor
I don't
seating,
disagree with you. The issue here isn't just the buses. It's not just the buses, it's also the emergency vehicles, of which there are many. I live on Amsterdam Avenue, and I can tell you, you'll probably hear them tonight. There are emergency vehicles passing by all the time. So we definitely don't want people to get hurt. And if we reduce the lanes, right now we've got 3 lanes on Columbus Avenue and Amsterdam Avenue, for example. The ones on Amsterdam are narrower than the ones on Columbus. But if we reduce them, and there's not a lot of traffic right now, that's true. There's not a lot of commuter traffic, but are we imperiling the population because of the emergency vehicles? So we have to consider that too.
well, maybe they can cut down a street to have only certain traffic on it. Maybe Broadway's the only, I'm just throwing things out there. Maybe Broadway's the only.
I'm
commuter
having a heart attack, or my husband needs to get an ambulance. I want them on Amsterdam Avenue. Okay, that's how
No, it's
that.
the other traffic I think he means. but-
Yeah, I'm talking about the other traffic, not the emergency traffic.
Yeah, that's true. We could move that to. We could talk to DOT and move it to Broadway, because Broadway's
Although in
pretty.
theory, West End Avenue is commercial traffic free, and try walking there, without that.
And one other thing that's been discussed, I've heard it sort of little chatter about it, is that clearly the outdoor cafe permits, I hope, Jeremy, you're getting your refund for those that you've paid for this year, right?
Yeah.
And also that there is some movement for those restaurants that are not permitted by DCA. to have an outdoor space available to them in front of their property, whether or not they have a permit. And that would be another way to help those that don't already have a cafe.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I don't know, there's so many ideas, but I think you guys just came up with a really great idea, and that is to invite, the Department of Transportation, DCA, DOB, and come up with some ideas and find out what the regulations are and where there's areas of compromise and where we can open up streets. I mean, I would love to see sidewalk cafes move to curbside, but then you have to have an area for people to walk. So,
I like the idea of closing down the bike lanes. I like the idea,
you're
whatever.
man to my ears, but I'm telling you, don't even say that. Don't even think that, because I'm
We're
telling
gonna open a can of worms.
Really?
It's never gonna happen.
Just for the pandemic,
Not gonna happen.
then there's going to be a lot less stores and a lot less restaurants in New York City.
Also,
So
they don't care. They actually don't like sidewalk cafes because they feel that they take up public real
they're what
estate.
made
It's a whole
the Upper
different
West
attitude.
Side.
But Barbara, you guys had a whole.
I remember 30 years ago when I first opened my first restaurant on the Upper West Side. Believe me, it changed. It was helpful and changed the neighborhood.
Which restaurant did you open up 30 years ago?
Firehouse.
Firehouse. Wow.
There was that.
You had Bloomingdale's too, right?
I did have that. I had a lot of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them were even successful.
Okay, I'd like to start bringing the meeting to a conclusion. So final thoughts. I'd like to give the attendees opportunity to talk, say words now if they want to. Erica, is there anything you'd like to talk to the committee about? You would have to unmute yourself first.
He said no thanks.
Okay, what about Adi?
Addie?
No, thank you.
Was
Okay.
this a small business section, or are we going on to something else?
Hold on, Courtney? Courtney, would you like to say something?
Courtney's one of us.
One of us, yeah.
Oh,
No, just that I'm really interested to kind of dig into this. What are our options and how creative can we be on how do we help some of these businesses? And how do we help our streets feel more like the streets that we've known for so long? So.
Well, you may consider joining the committee.
Pushing.
How about Beverly? You have anything to say?
Here.
Beverly, welcome. Let's hear from you. Beverly Donahue, hi.
Hi. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about all of the committees, so I don't know which ones yet I will be joining. I obviously feel great sympathy for the small businesses in this neighborhood, and I've been trying to frequent as many of them as I can that do delivery and so on. I just think we are in totally uncharted waters, and I'm really concerned that not only the quality of life here will go down, but I think our budgetary situation on the public side is probably going to be as close to as bad as it was in the fiscal crisis. So that the ability to remedy with public dollars a lot of the things we're seeing just isn't going to be there. So it's a very, very sobering moment.
Beverly, what is your background?
What is my background? I have several backgrounds. I was at City OMB for 10 years. I was then in the finance area at the school system where I was a CFO. And then I was at a nonprofit in the education space for 15 years after that, New Visions for Public Schools. And I recently retired.
Well, which nonprofit?
New Visions for Public Schools.
New Vision for Public Schools, yeah. Okay.
We have, Madeline is new to the committee. Welcome, Madeline.
Welcome, Madeline.
Thank you.
Love you, Madeline.
Thank you. Let me lower my hand. What I want to say, I don't know if anybody spoke about it, but you also have to include the police department because there's a spike in crime in New York City. And with the tables outside, that will give the criminal more incentive to
That's
rob.
true.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
you got to look at those angles as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, right, good point.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, did we hear from everyone? Erica, did we speak with you?
She said she didn't want to talk. Are we moving on to new business or was this new business?
Oh, that was probably new business, but if you have more new business, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make it brief because I know we want to wrap. To the whomever the yeah, and everybody, it's famous last words. I'll make it brief and then an hour later. So I think this is important. One of the attendees said, are we not concerned, about other businesses? And of course we are. And a lot of people know what I do for a living, and I'm right in between the landlords. So I'm hearing the chatter every day, nationally, locally, regionally. So one thing that's come up recently, which is interesting to me, the essential businesses, obviously those that have been deemed essential, that's a given. There are a lot of businesses that are non-essential that are I'm starting to hear chatter, a swell of businesses that say, listen, your Trader Joe's is open, Whole Foods is open, Fairway is open, but I am a business, small, medium, or large. I have a plan for social distancing that is arguably safer than even some of those. Why can't I open to a certain percentage? And I think this is going to be part of the reopening plan with the governor, with the city, with the CDC. But there's a swell I'm hearing from retailers that are not necessarily food and beverage operators that we can do this. We're in a larger space. We can actually, even if we start off with 25%. So that's one thing I think we're going to start hearing more of. And I also just, as a public service announcement, this is something that really gets my goat. The insurance companies, and this is only one component of this, we've talked about this at the forum we had. The insurance companies throughout the country have been telling all of their what would you call them, insured policyholders to not even apply for business interruption insurance. And I'm not a lawyer. There's some lawyers on this call right now, but from everything I'm hearing from some of the finest attorneys that specialize in this, that is an absolute lie. There's probably unscientifically about a third of the policies that are written do qualify for some version of business interruption, but they are still not paying. And so we need to get behind our electeds, the attorneys general, and to at least make an opinion, which may not be enforceable. And I think the ultimate plan is going to be to have the federal government backstop some of these insurance companies, but some of the policies that they absolutely clearly need to pay on, they have to. And it's a big part of getting the small businesses back on their feet. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about that.
So Doug, I was on a webinar yesterday that was sponsored by a law firm, and one of the aspects of the webinar was litigation relating to COVID. And I thought it would be a silly webinar because we've only had this for 2 months. How in the world could there be litigation that has produced results yet? But especially with the courthouses closed, but apparently there are. So there's a briefing material that was circulated as part of the webinar. If you'd like, I'll share it with the committee. It's legalese gobbledygook, but not bad, not too impenetrable. There are certain clauses that everybody on this call, I'm sure, is familiar with, things like force majeure, that may or may not trigger an ability to avoid payment. And then there's just the old reality that insurance companies make money by not paying claims. And then I know that's a little bit cynical, but that's also the business model.
It's also a big reality. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's an issue that the committee wants to pursue, I'd be happy to help find the legal resources that you need with deference to your existing legal counsel already in population there, to see if that could be helpful.
Well, I would also say
That's
that
great. I'm going to defer to Jerry.
if the past is any guidance, we know that in the past, insurance companies have to be sued to force them to pay, and it could be that that's what it will end up happening in this case. Keep in mind also that the Senate under its leader right now, he started talking about passing legislation to shield companies from employees suing them. I wouldn't put a passing to also say you can sue the insurance companies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and Mark, I may have been on the same call that you were on yesterday, but I may have said this on our forum, but the basic concept is that the insurance companies are sitting on close to $1 trillion, literally 900 billion.
Mm-hmm.
They will spend $1 billion to save $1 trillion. So what they're doing is they've been wrangling all of their lobbyists in Washington, and they are doing whatever they can to protect that pile of cash.
Yeah.
And I am not an attorney, but it smells like antitrust because they're all colluding. They're saying that they're all going to the interpretation, right, of what the law means. But what happened in Hurricane Sandy was that the insurance companies knew that they needed to pay on homes that were destroyed, and they didn't because they protected their cash. They were sued, class action suits. The lawyers made piles and piles of money, and eventually the homeowner got a check, much less than they should have, many years later after they lost their home. If these insurance companies don't step up,
Lost their homes.
right? If they don't start paying and paying now, at least for the policies that they know they need to pay, then we're going there. The small business owners and even medium and large owners are going to get a check later after their business has been closed.
Yeah.
So we need at least some stopgap measure, and we need to get the attorneys general involved. I'm sure that Andrew Ridgey and the Alliance, shouldn't mention his name, but the Alliance is working on this thing. It's happening across the country. But class action suits is not going to be the path we want to go through.
I think our next meeting should be about be working with the different agencies, DOT, DCA, DOB, invite them here so we can make some suggestions so that they're really kind of granular information. And then maybe for July, we go into the insurance companies and we deal with some of the other issues and the legalities of what's going on. What do you guys think about that?
They need to get federally backstopped.
What do we need DOB for?
Huh?
What do we need DOB for?
Because we're talking about putting retail in front of stores. That's DOB and
that's consumer affairs.
DOT.
And DOT.
We're talking about opening.
I don't think it's buildings.
Huh?
I think you meant DOT.
DCA.
DOT. DOT?
Yeah.
Oh,
DOB as well, because DOB gives fines.
why DOB?
DOB is one of the sources of regulations about what can be proximate to the facade of a building.
Right. So
And-
they've
I don't know.
referencing what Mark said earlier, DOB is giving out fines. So what we need to do is get the regulatory agencies here so we can talk to them and figure out some compromises and why they've been intractable on so many levels in a time when you can't be anything but flexible. But we have to hear from what they say. So I think that's our next meeting. Does everybody concur with that?
Sure.
I concur.
Yes.
Okay, so Christian?
Okay, so if there's no other comments, I will consider a motion to end the meeting.
Second.
Okay, so be it. Okay, great. So we talk to you guys again next month.
Safe, everybody.
See you at the next meeting.
Great meeting, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Right.
night, everybody.
Night.
Be well, Tar.
Yeah, tell Tor to get better.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty, he's actually, his fever's down. I mean, he's doing much, much better and he's eating a lot. A lot.
Good,
Great.
like the rest of us.
Yeah. I'm cooking and I make brownies. He's good.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Anyway,
It's a
good night.
cure-all, I'm sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.